coming up from Oakland, and I'm just, preparing meals, getting things ready, for my grandsons. They're 2.5 and 3.5, and so that's always a treat when they come over. And then New Year's Day, I'm leaving to go down and help Hensley Newlands down in Curacao and all those famous players that come from there. So that's what I'm doing to start the year off to try to help some people and also go down and have a good time.
So are you looking forward to retirement? Has it hit you yet, or is that going to happen around spring training?
Yeah, probably around spring training. But, FP, I'm busy. And plus, I lost, 3 or 4 jobs, and I was off 2 years at a time. So it's not like this is my first time off. It's just the first time that I've actually announced that I'm retiring from the field. I'm not necessarily retiring from baseball, but I'm retiring from the daily, the daily grind of travel, of just having to be there. If I could show up about half an hour for the game and then leave half an hour after the game, I can do this 3 or 4 years. You know what I mean? Because the game is the same. It's the playing, a verbal dodgeball, or having to be here, or having to be there, and sometimes you get tired of just being a whipping boy. When you're doing the best job that you can do. So, but I love the game, and I love the players, and so. Like I said, I'm retired from the field, but not necessarily retired from baseball, especially when you got a son. You got a son that's still in it. That's with Washington. And so, I'm looking forward to watching them play too.
Darren hit 284 last year over 3 teams. He ended up in AAA where he hit 273. He's playing all over the place. Of course, I love that, right? He's playing all the different positions. I need to talk to him. I love that. So, I mean, when he gets called up to D.C., you're not going to D.C. to see him play, are you? I know things didn't end well there. We've talked about it off the record, but that's your kid. I mean, you're going to go see him play, but it's kind of weird that he's with the Nationals.
Yeah, kind of. But something. I mean, I was treated fairly by Rizzo and all the people upstairs. I wasn't treated that fair necessarily by upper ownership. You know what I mean? But, Riz and I ended up on great terms. He didn't want to let me go, but sometimes you're forced to do things that you don't want to do. And, even when I see fans from Chicago, I didn't end up well there either. And then they're like, oh, man, we love you. We miss you. And I was like, oh, what happened to all those boos that I heard at the end of that? So, time heals all wounds. You can't take, a lot of stuff from the past into the present or the future. So you just go ahead and live your life. And as long as you did the best that you can do, and I've always tried to, do my best. And so just sometimes you come up short, and sometimes, things work out great.
Now, Dusty, you mentioned this isn't the first time you've had a break for baseball. You've had stretches where you didn't officially announce your retirement or anything, but you were away from the game. This time you announced your retirement, obviously. Do you have a different mindset as you go into this break from the game? Do you think hey, you know what? This is it. This will be permanent. Or do you still think you might have to scratch an itch down the line?
I don't know. I just let God tell me what to do. Who knows? I thought I was done the last time when the Astros came calling. And, there were no job openings. And a lot of times these things are opened up for you, and it's not under your control. We think that we're in control of everything, but we're in control of very little. And that's the one thing that I've learned, during my life. What were the chances of me managing the Astros? They were on top. Everything was beautiful. And then all of a sudden they had a scandal. And next thing, they needed me to help them. I don't know if they wanted me to help them for 4 years, but that's how it worked out. And, I just went there to win. I was very, very fortunate to finally win that World Series under these circumstances. And, when I look back on my time in Houston, we were one game twice away from going to the World Series 4 years in a row. We were Game 7 in 2020, I believe, in Game 7. last year in 2023. So, yeah, I mean, it was a good run. I had a great time there. Perhaps it was time to, to leave. Nobody likes to wear out the welcome. At the same time, you kind of can feel when it's time for you, to go. You're not quite as welcome as you were when you got there. So, life goes on. I'm looking forward to this next chapter. I'm actually also talking to, the Giants. I talked to Larry Baird the other day about the possibility of maybe even joining them. And so we just have to see how things work out, for all of us.
Okay. All right. I'm all in on that.
Yeah, we can't sift through that. How those conversations gone? And obviously, Dusty, you know how beloved you are here in the Bay Area. They darn near celebrated like the Giants won a World Series when you were finally able to break through and win that World Series. Where are you in those conversations, and what is the real possibility of you having a role with the Giants?
I don't know. I mean, I like to know who people were rooting for when me and Bruce Bochy was, battling each other. But yeah, I mean, they're just preliminary talks. We're like I said, I talked to Larry. I'm awaiting, to talk to Farhan. They do have a team here in Sacramento where I am here. The River Cats team. I'm not sure if they're still the River Cats, but we'll see. And we can work things out, family wise and time wise and all kind of ways. So, like I said, it's just we're just having preliminary talks, and we'll see how things work out.
Bake, I've been back a couple of years now and been around the ball club and been doing games with them. And I've been saying on my old radio show that the Giants have to get back to having people around that knows what it means to wear the orange and black. And I mean, nobody personifies that better than you. You talk about the coaching staff now. There's guys that wore the uniform, and I think that's huge to know the tradition and what it means to wear that. We all know what that means. But talk about for a minute, Bake, how the game has changed. Like you looked at all the teams that were in the playoffs last year, whether it was Boach or Rob Thompson or yourself or Snitker. Like the old school guys still know what they're doing. You still know what you're doing. And there's so much emphasis on analytics right now in the game. Maybe touch on a little bit, like through all of your travels and you, as a manager more than a player, on how the game has changed and how that affected you as a manager.
Well, number one, the Giants have a couple former guys back. I mean, Pat Burrow and Matt Williams are one of the best, and Bob Melvin. And that's a great start right there. Things have changed. Things have evolved. Part of we always used analytics, but just didn't have the name of. It wasn't called analytics. It was called first batter matchup, first batter efficiency, runners inherited, just all kind of things that we use as much of the information as we could. Just that sometimes I think now it's gone a little bit where there's a little bit too much information for the kids to fathom. And or sometimes the young players don't watch the game and learn from watching the game. I mean, I see everybody has their head down all the time, whether it's on their cell phone or whether it's on the laptop or whatever it is. And I urge them to watch the game, pay attention as much as possible. And let's face it, most of the guys upstairs are college graduates of some of the finest universities around. But what's happening is that they're hiring their friends, and they're it's not really getting a well-rounded view of the game. And I think you got to have some guys there, that are analytical guys, and you also need some guys there that are baseball guys to explain some things that sometimes can't be explained by numbers. Sometimes the overall feel is gone. You know what I mean? And from managing against Bruce Bochy, you could tell sometimes, and he probably could tell with me, that some of it's on field, as well as fact. And to me, you have to have both to get the most out of your players and both to win. Now, saying that, somebody is going to win, whether it's all analytic guys or whether it's field guys or a combination. Somebody's going to win, whether that makes it right or wrong or not, or if you're going about it the right way, but somebody's going to win.
Now, Dusty, obviously we are smack dab in the middle of free agency, and it's been a huge talking point around here, especially over the last couple of years. Giants kind of striking out on some of the big names that they've sought after. Now, I don't know you too well, but you don't strike me as the type who are going to be getting on your knees and begging someone to come play for the organization. But how would you sell the Giants to some of these free agents to get them to come play in the Bay Area?
Well, that's a tough call. I mean, for some reason the Bay Area's gotten a bad rap, and see, the Bay Area was one of the finer places to live in this country. And I've talked to some players recently where a lot of the players would rather live in the East Bay, go across the bridge, go through the Caldecott Tunnel. That's a lot of travel versus going down the peninsula or staying in the city. And the city has to sell itself that, because it's gotten a bad rap, as far as like what's happening in the city, or the amount of vacancies that are in the city. The city is the most beautiful town that I know of in America, since I've been going there since the mid-'60s. So the city has to sell itself as well as the organization has to sell itself to the players. And because, seems like every year some big names come up, and then rarely do the Giants get any big name players. So it's either going to have to do it from within, or they're going to have to sell the city and their families on how safe and how beautiful the city really is.
Dude, you said we, man. It's going to be in your forever Giant. Dusty Baker said we when talking about the Giants. Bake, that's a great answer. I mean, we really appreciate you coming on today. Say hello to Melissa. Say hello to Darren for me. I miss you guys. Hopefully I'll see you in the 916 soon. Have you been hunting at all? Any hunting going on this year?
No, not really. I haven't been hunting. I really didn't feel it. You know what I mean? You got to feel it. I haven't fished. Tell you the truth, I was gone 8 months, man. And, you come home, you don't want to move. I got things I got to do. My well was messing up. I got to plant my garden. I got to tend to my grapes. There's a lot to do. And then hopefully in the next few months, I'll be bored and maybe I can come see you sometime. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, we'll get you in the studio ASAP.
Dude, I gotta get a bottle of wine. I was in Rayleigh's in El Dorado Hills over Christmas, and I saw all your wine sitting there with the stitches on it. And you have like a walk-off blend now. That's the name of the wine. You named it like walk-off Pinot or something like that.
Well, I didn't name it. My winemaker, Chick Brenneman, who's the best. He's been my winemaker and partner for like 15 years, and he didn't know what a walk-off was. But he saw it in some magazine that I swear, he saw it in some magazine that I was like number 2 all time in walk-off. So he goes, "Oh, that's a good name for it, walk-off." And I thought he knew what he was talking about. He just lucked upon that one. But that's one of my favorites. And then I told my team in Houston, I said, "Hey guys, if you walk somebody off, I will get you some wine and I'll sign it." Well, the first guy to walk somebody off, which I didn't even think they were going to hold me to it, was Carlos Correa in the playoffs. And so he walked somebody off, and the first thing he asked me, "Where is my walk-off red?" So that's how we come up with that name.
I think I'm going to sip on some walk-off red for New Year's Eve. I got to find that somewhere. Dusty, thank you so much for joining us, brother. We really appreciate your time. And hopefully you'll be in San Francisco soon a little more often. Hopefully those talks go well, because we would love to get you back down here in the Bay Area.
Hey, NFP, man, I'll see you at home sometime, man. I'm glad you're back on the radio, my brother.
Thanks, Bake. Happy New Year's, man. I can't wait to see you. I miss you.
All right, man. Miss you too. I'll see you later.
That was Dusty Baker. Awesome stuff.